Now welcome to another lightning response video, where this time in the wake of the final episode of The Acolyte, we have this question that comes to us from Pete Spine, who asked, "Hey Thor, in this vid you mentioned that those who say the Jedi are part of the problem are missing the point of Star Wars. I definitely agree. The Acolyte has been so disheartening that for the first time since Disney took over, I have started to lose that intense love and excitement for the franchise that I once had. Painting the Jedi to be the bad guys and Star Wars doubling down on that interpretation deeply hurts. We used to look up to them, structure our morals around theirs, and strive to have the selflessness of a Jedi. I'm not sure if you've talked about it specifically before, but I'm really curious. I was wondering if you could expand on what you believe to be the point of Star Wars. I have my own takes that is mostly founded in spirituality, but I'm wondering what you think. Love your vids, keep it up." And, well, I think a lot of people, when they answer this question, they kind of default to the generic answer of it's about good versus evil. And I don't think they're wrong. They're not wrong at all, in fact. Star Wars is certainly about that. But I think you have to look a little deeper to see what Lucas is really trying to say with his films. And to be clear, I will only be referring to Lucas and his films here. Not anything and everything else others have added to Star Wars, which some of it is quite good, don't get me wrong. But I'm only going to discuss what I think the point was according to him. And as I even brought up in a fairly recent video, but Lucas has said on a few different occasions that Star Wars was meant to reinvigorate spirituality in the young. It was about getting young people on the verge of adulthood, on the verge of getting out there and truly becoming a part of the larger world. It was about getting them to think about their place and their purpose, to ask the bigger questions, or to be curious about the bigger mystery of life. Basically, it was about trying to teach young people, though anyone can take the lessons away from it, no matter how old you may be, which is part of the reason why it resonates with so many people of all ages. But it was about teaching young people in particular about how to make the right choices in life so you don't have to regret the wrong ones. And then maybe make a series of bad choices until you become drowned in the dark side of bad decisions, shall we say. However, even if you have made all the wrong choices, and a lot of wrong choices along the way that have hurt a lot of people, you can always choose to be better. No matter what you have done, you can always still choose to make the right choice. And quite honestly, that is what I think Star Wars is really all about. It is about choices. I think it is as simple as that. It is as simple as saying that the decisions we make, the actions we then take, can and will have consequences for ourselves and others around us. Sometimes positive ones, and sometimes negative ones, and sometimes very, very negative ones that are greatly impactful. Sometimes what we feel is right even, or what we feel we're justified in doing, can also have drastic consequences for others and or ourselves. And that, again, as Lucas himself has even said, what balance actually is, what the big takeaway from all of this really is, beyond just it being about choices, but what his definition for balance would be, at least in the context of Star Wars, is never becoming so selfish that your wants and desires in this life take away from the needs of others, or take away their very freedom if you desire to take too much control. Selfishness is the dark side. Selflessness is the light, and balance is as simple as never taking more than you need, or maybe I should say never taking more than you need to the point of where others are going without. Because I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with wanting things for the sake of wanting them, or wanting things you don't exactly need, but it would sure be cool or nice or enjoyable to have. Rather, there's something wrong with wanting or taking so much that it leads to the suffering of others. Another way to put it, perhaps, is that Star Wars is basically a story about finding your place in a world that is not all about you, where sometimes sacrifice, sometimes big or small, will be required of you for a greater good. That we can't always have everything we want, and we have to find a way to not only deal with that, to deal with the fact that this world is not here just to cater to us or to be everything we want it to be, but to truly accept and come to peace with the fact that we cannot have everything and that nothing will last forever. Which doesn't mean we can't or shouldn't enjoy what we have while we have it. Only that living a life afraid to lose what we have, or like we're always missing out on something, or like you need this certain thing to finally make you happy, that prevents you from enjoying life in the moment, enjoying what you do have to the fullest while you have it. Which, no, is not some sort of argument that you should just settle for what you have right now and never pursue more out of life. or that you again can't want things you don't exactly need. But so many people in life are consumed with what they don't have, or live life wanting virtually everything, or feel like they're constantly missing out on something, or that they're not good enough because they don't compare to this other person. And it happens to the point where they can never truly appreciate what they have, and they are constantly miserable. And I honestly think part of the reason why Star Wars doesn't maybe resonate with people like it once did is because they don't or don't want to connect with that message or point of it. That again being that life is not about you. The world does not revolve around you. And so since that message isn't resonating like it once did, I feel like it is being changed in shows like The Acolyte, and the people who that message does resonate with don't like The Acolyte because it's changing the message. And yeah, being told that the world is not just here for you is not something everybody necessarily wants to even hear. They don't want to be reminded of the fact that, there are actually billions of people on this planet who all want to get something out of life. That is a hard message to even want to try to understand in the first place if you are maybe a little selfish. Though, of course, you are kind of taught to be selfish by the world around you. Many things around you are telling you the opposite message of Star Wars. I mean, we live in a world where we are advertised to constantly, where we are endlessly told this certain thing, this certain product will make your life better. And then we're told 5 seconds later, this one will make your life better too. And then we're told this one. We live in a world where especially young people compare themselves to almost literally everybody thanks to social media. You are constantly seeing what other people are doing. And of course, if they're putting it on social media, it tends to be the best parts of their life. It tends to be the good times, not the bad times. And so you get this weird impression that everybody else out there is living a good life and you're not. You are constantly measuring yourself against those around you in some way, shape, or form. And I mean, it's so crazy that kids these days, and even older people too, they watch influencers, some of which that do little more than essentially kind of brag about how good their life is compared to yours in maybe not so many words. Not saying there aren't good influencers out there, but there are certainly plenty that maybe your kids are watching right now that are brainwashing them into believing that they are not good people or they're not living up to some sort of expectation. In the modern world, we have essentially put the people who have everything, who are the most selfish among us, upon a pedestal and wish we were just like them. We have come to worship what the Sith essentially represent, and we wonder why no one can ever be happy. We wonder why we always feel like we're lacking something or don't have enough. Well, we're always looking to people who have more than us and expecting us to measure up to the persona that they put out into the world on social media. And I don't know, maybe part of the reason why some out there really did seem to enjoy something like The Acolyte is maybe because they like the idea of the selfless Jedi being torn down in order to feel better about their own selfishness, their own desire to be a little more Sith-like. And those who are selfish in the show, who feel like they can do or act as they desire in the name of freedom, characters like Kamir I'm talking about, who feel like they're justified in killing other people who get in their way or in their way of absolute freedom, well, we, the audience, are even encouraged by none other than the showrunner herself, Leslie Headland, to overlook all of that, all of his selfish behavior, and to sympathize and connect with him regardless of the things he has done. Which is, scary enough, not all that far off from saying this is acceptable behavior and something to be celebrated even. That our heroes are not the ones who are willing to sacrifice for something beyond the self, but they are instead the ones who are self-serving, who will do whatever they must to get the things they want in life. That is the goal of life, to get as much as we can, and it doesn't matter what we take from others along the way. And that we will even resort to violence. We won't hesitate to resort to violence in order to get what we want. And yeah, this might be a bit of an extreme take, and honestly I think many people, or most of the people who enjoyed The Acolyte and are now calling for a second season on X or wherever, they just like or love Star Wars on a more, shall we say, surface level. And I'm not trying to be mean to them, but I don't think they care about the deeper meanings as much as they care about how cool the lightsaber battles were, or that we got to see Plagueis peek out of a cave and that is so awesome to them. They find enjoyment in those things, which is, yeah, that is perfectly fine. I like cool lightsaber battles too. But the problem is I also appreciate and find those deeper meanings very important because they can inspire and shape the minds of young people especially. They can, as George Lucas intended, make them ask the deeper questions or to try to be a better person. And sadly, there will be some people out there who do watch The Acolyte and they will get the wrong message from it. They will take away a message that feels like the very opposite of what Lucas created Star Wars for in the first place. Basically here, and I know I have veered a bit off topic, but I don't care that people out there don't care about any of the plot holes or bad writing or things like that that may or may not be in The Acolyte. I don't even care that people don't care that it breaks canon, potentially. You can love and enjoy the show for whatever reason you want. You can enjoy it simply for the spectacle in the moment or, again, for whatever reason you like. But what I personally find troubling is that for some people, or more people perhaps, the ideal that the Jedi are supposed to represent has intentionally been damaged or even destroyed by Star Wars itself. By someone allowed to make a Star Wars show that, yeah, has the official Lucasfilm name attached to it. I find it a shame that Star Wars is arguing against the very guy who created it. And I know there will be those who say the Jedi were bad in the prequels and Lucas made those movies, so haha, you're wrong about them. And if that is what you really think, then congratulations, you did miss the whole point of the prequels and missed the whole point of Star Wars. Those movies, the prequels, weren't about saying the Jedi way was deeply flawed and that the Jedi were terrible individuals at the time. It said that those who let their guard down, those who start to become too sure of themselves, who become complacent, those who do not remain vigilant, who are not on the lookout for the return of evil when that is what they're supposed to be doing, they will miss its return even when it is right under their nose. If those who are supposed to safeguard us from evil relax too much, everyone will end up suffering. That is, until they return to safeguard the people once more, which is why the final movie in the story of George Lucas' Star Wars is called Return of the Jedi. Not because they were bad all along, but because they failed once, and when they returned, the galaxy was safe once more. But anyway, I think that is going to be all I got for you this time. I know I've been talking about this a lot lately, but yeah, it does mean that much to me. And I just can't believe how bad The Acolyte was and that Lucasfilm could make something that so misses the mark when it comes to what Star Wars is, or is according to Lucas, what it should be all about. Either way, do leave a comment below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.